Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first Chesapeake Town Hall sponsored by Accenture Federal Services. I'm going to kind of give you an update on the season for FTC and FRC. First, we'll get going a little bit of housekeeping, and then Leanne's going to kind of give us a little update about First Chesapeake, and then I'll talk specifically about what's going on with some of the programs. The kind of the normal housekeeping, we're recording this. It'll go out on YouTube. You'll be able to see it over there. You can put in questions anytime you want throughout. We'll just answer them at the tail end. We have a hard stop at 7 tonight, specifically because we have an award ceremony for FTC immediately following this. And as always, we'll have more of these coming. So Leanne, take it away.
Okay, great. So season's greetings, everyone. Good to see you. I'm glad that you could make the update tonight. And just want to give you some updates on a couple of little things. One is our Women in STEM Scholarship Program. We had interviews with 8 incredible finalists on Friday, and we look forward to announcing the scholarship winners on February 3rd at the Women in STEM Breakfast sponsored by Leidos. Hopefully you received a save the date as an email, and you're marking that on your calendar so you can watch the award ceremony and cheer on your favorite scholarship winner. Also, I just wanted to put this out there. We have 2 grants from Qualcomm for DC high school teams to participate in the Geared Up Remote Robotics Program. If you're not familiar with the Remote Robotics Program, it is a program that was developed last year. Students each receive their own kit of parts. They receive remote instruction, and they are able to build their own functioning robot after 9 sessions. So it's completely covered by Qualcomm, but it needs to be a DC high school that's interested. So if you know of anyone, or if you are a DC high school and you'd like to know more about this, please get in touch with me. You can find my contact information on the About Us page. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ron.
Okay. I think everybody, it's kind of, again, we're reiterating a lot of things we've talked about before, but obviously, we all kind of know at this point that COVID is going to be a challenge probably for the whole rest of our season. So, just keep in mind, we're trying to keep everybody apart as much as we can. And we have the mask guidelines still in place. I do want to reiterate that we may be in some venues. If we were in a venue that requires anything additional on top of that, we'll communicate that to everyone. But some places may require testing or vaccines or a combination of both or so on. And we're going to comply with whatever our venues require. And again, this is kind of stuff that we went through before, but I mean, the big thing is for both FRC and FTC, we're basically following a hybrid model. And, teams compete in smaller single day events. We have limited attendance by members and mentors, and there's no spectators there. All the judging is remote. So the majority, because of that, the majority of volunteering will end up actually being remote. And then we're having remote award ceremony after all the teams compete. That's true for FRC and FTC. So our Tuesday night schedule for awards will hold true for both seasons, both programs. The big thing on there is, Twitch is what we're using for spectator viewing because we don't allow them into the venue. So it's basically just the teams that are in there. And I will say that we've had this happen now where some of the teams have asked about bringing extra people. Well, there's some cases where you can bring extra people as long as those people are our volunteers at that venue. So that's one way for us to help get volunteers, and another way for them to actually come and be in there as well. So that's the one. The big thing on there, I think that I guess surprised me and maybe others, as this just from last weekend alone, we had almost 3,200 live views on Twitch. And you can kind of see, then we put the recordings on YouTube, and you can kind of see on the YouTube side, for 2021, I think that's pretty impressive, the number of hours of video that people have actually watched and are still watching because it's available. Like the whole event from last week is out there now too. For FRC, to kind of catch everybody up on it, it actually, the number of teams exceeded what we have originally had thought we would have. We have 111 teams out there right now, 2 of which are rookies. And with that, we've got two events in the Greater Richmond area, and we have 4 in the Greater DC area. The big thing on that is because we have so many teams, there are a couple of the events in the Greater DC area actually are going to have 19 teams at them instead of 18. But it's been pretty amazing trying to get everybody into all of them. Anyway, the other one I wanted to point out is that early on is the MRA that has their back to build. They normally do it in person. They're going to be doing it as a virtual event. So obviously it doesn't matter where you're physically located. You'll be able to get on and talk with other mentors. And that's on January 18th. And there'll be some lead robot inspectors and head refs and all that that'll be there to talk about the season. It's early in the season, so obviously they're not all going to know all the answers, but it's a way that people can get on and actually find out some of that information. I put that website in there so you can actually see more info about it. The other one we've talked about before this also is, we're planning on trying to do week 0 events at both locations, and along with that, some pre-inspections so that teams can find out before they get to the event or before they do their own self-inspection, kind of the things to be looking for. On there, we're talking about there's only 2 rookies, but really there's a lot more rookies this year because we have a lot of teams that don't have any students that ever actually went to a competition before. So we know that this is more important than ever. As far as kind of moving on, the district championship will be a single division event. It's not 2 fields, so it'll be the single field. We're looking at the 60 teams. Kind of the big news on here is that we actually have 16 slots to go to Worlds. I mean, as you know, the 2 world locations got combined into the one in Texas, and so there's fewer slots. So normally we're in the mid-20s of how many teams we get to go. But this year it's at 16. How you qualify and all that stuff is exactly like it always has been. So, right now we don't have we were hoping to have the DC venue locked down by tonight. We still got a couple more things that we need to work out with them on it, but we're getting close, and we're hoping by the end of this month we'll be able to point everybody to what that is, because I know some teams are traveling and want information about that kind of thing so they can make reservations or whatever. The Greater Richmond event is actually going to be held at the Keystone Tractor Works. It's an antique tractor museum that we held FTC events at last year, and we're actually going to hold some FRC events at. So we're going in for that one. The draft schedule, I shared this last time. I just kind of wanted to reiterate that, that's the single day draft schedule that we have in there. We'll probably make a few modifications to it, but it's going to basically stay kind of the same there. The big thing is, and I do want to point out, we're going to have lead robot inspectors and probably another inspector or 2 at the venue, but teams are supposed to self-inspect that week before the event and bring those sheets with them to show to the inspectors that are at the venue. The other thing I wanted to point out is, because this is actually on the website, so we created these matrices that actually show, what our restrictions might be on the number of team members that you can bring on there. That area that's in and I just picked the DC location, but the colors on the bottom one don't necessarily match up with the colors we used in our matrix, which the reason that these are on there is you can see they're updated daily. So every day, it does real time, picks up that information from the website that compiles it all, that COVID Act now. So if you go to our website, you can actually see what the current rates are in that particular area. And I put the arrows on here to kind of point it out as, you have daily new cases per 100K is 17.9, which puts us in the moderate range. And then the positivity rate is at 5.6, which still leaves us in the moderate range. we do have some venues that are for FTC that may have, they're in the moderate range in one of those numbers and in the substantial in the other. Well, it's an or condition. So whichever one of those is higher is how we're going to actually try and run those events. Right now, we're doing these so that I do them the week before. So for FTC, if you're competing on a Saturday, I do it the previous Saturday, put out what we're going to run that venue by. Obviously, the things can change, as we know. We may have to modify things at the last minute, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. On the right-hand side there, I did want to point out, and this is true of FRC and FTC, even though it's FRC chart. The items on there is that consent and release. We actually do an online form for consent and release now, and we do it for each one of the events that you're going to attend, and that'll be true for both of them. And lead mentors will have access so that they can actually see which one of their students completed the forms. There'll be a login mechanism that, just like you do for your dashboard, you'll be able to get on and actually see that information. But it's different than it was in the past where we just did one per year. We're doing them for each event because we're trying to keep track of who is at each one of these events. And then jumping down to FTC, we've got 256 teams, and of those 256, we have 52 of those teams are rookie teams. Some of them are associated with veteran teams. Some of them are kind of working side by side with veteran teams, which is great. But the point is, there's an awful lot of teams out there, just like the FRC side, that have a lot of students that actually never competed in an event before. So it's all brand new to everybody. And then with that, because we've got so many teams, and I actually had 2 more teams sign up today, and somebody else was talking to me about starting another one. So as long as you can get to the events and there's openings in them, you can keep coming in. Right now we have 14 different events, and then the championship, we still haven't locked down exactly where it's going to be. We'll come out with that sometime in early January, again, so people can plan, especially for travel or that kind of thing. And then, this is the higher values that we've been, or I guess lower COVID numbers that allow us to run these 18 team events for FTC. We have one group that plays in the morning and one group that plays in the afternoon. So you can see in here, it's a pretty long day for everybody involved. The big thing we've done is, teams that are traveling long distances, we try to put them in the second cohort so that they can come play and then go home. I've been asked by some of the teams, can you assign the cohorts earlier? And it's hard for me to do that because, for example, we had the Glen Allen event. We had some teams. I assigned the teams to cohorts, and then we had a few teams drop. And I want to keep the 2 cohorts as close in size as possible, so it would end up having to rearrange them and so on. So I'd rather wait till that week before we lock everything down, and then whatever changes happen, but we can keep it as even as we possibly can. And then kind of some reminders for FTC specifically is, the FTC scoring software. A lot of people that are either rookies or didn't compete the last year are familiar with that website, but you have to get on that website to submit your judging materials on there. And so, materials have to be in by 6 p.m. on the Friday before the event. And that's where you'll find your Zoom links and, the Zoom links for the judging schedule sessions, as well as the virtual audience for parents and such to come in, or other mentors to come in on. And then where the Dropbox links for you to be able to put your presentation videos up on there. The thing I just really kind of want to point out is you do not put, your other items in there. You need to make sure that the materials that go in there are, your your engineering portfolio has to be in there, and there's a spot in there if you're gonna compete for the control award, you have to submit the paperwork for the control award, and then if you want feedback from the judges, there's a section in there you need to click. That's all in that scoring software. And I will say is that with judging being remote, you actually get your like your control for the control award. You pull the form out of the remote game manual, not out of the regular one, because you have to give them a link to a video that shows how your robot performs for what you put in your control award. So some of those things were things that people seem to struggle with this past weekend in particular. And then the other one about judging, I get questions about this also, is that your judging occurs the opposite weekend day that you compete. So if you compete on a Saturday, your judging will be on Sunday. If you compete on Sunday, it'll be on Saturday. There are some cases where we'll try to accommodate everybody we can if there's for religious reasons or something folks can't do one of those times. We'll have to try and do it. But I will point out that the time you would probably have to do it would be during the week. So it'd be a weeknight that you would have to actually go do your interviews. And then the other one I know a lot of people kind of been waiting for is that, for FTC, we've actually only been allotted 3 slots at Worlds. Every region got 2 slots, and because of our size, we got an extra one of the 10 that were out there. So that's that one. The thing on Dean's lists I actually don't know how many slots we get for Dean's List going forward. They haven't actually figured all that out, told me yet what that is. But the Dean's List submissions are actually, for all of our events, are actually due tomorrow. So if you haven't done it yet, you can get on the dashboard and submit them. The interviews will occur in the middle of January, but you need to apply now. And again, the same kind of thing. I mean, the matrix is slightly different for FTC, but it's the same thing in there. You pull the cases per 100,000 and the positivity rate and look it up in the chart, and that's where that's where you can plan on. So if your place is running a little higher and you're insubstantial, the big difference there is you're going to go from 13 down to 7. If our numbers go super high, then we're going to go to even fewer folks. So. And then kind of moving on to volunteers, and it's obviously a different season, a different kind of set of volunteers we need in a lot of cases. The key volunteers all kind of stay the same, but the supporting roles can change. All of our events are now available in your dashboard. So if you go in there and go to volunteer, you can find all of the events that we have. We have minimal in-person roles. Other than our key roles, and the key roles kind of being head ref and venue manager and that kind of thing, we're really looking to teams to provide the volunteers. We prefer all those, so we need like a pit admin person and some queuers. In essence, is the main thing, and so that's what we're kind of looking for. Is at every chance we get, we'd like teams to be able to do it themselves. And again, it's also a way for people to come into the venue that bring an extra mentor or something to be able to help us do this. Or students. We're okay with students doing queuing as well. We had several of them this past weekend. And then the other part is we have a lot of remote volunteers that we need in there. And I really, from a judging perspective, and we'll talk a little more about this in a minute, but, we need judges, we need commentators, we need and I put video producers / editors. There's a lot of things that we want to do behind the scenes, and we would like help with them. Now, in the case of commentators or the video folks, we're okay using some of your more senior type of students as well as mentors or any other people So, we like one of our commentators is actually from Maine. He comes in and helps us with this. He'll be doing the award ceremony. But like I say, like last week, we actually had a student from one of the teams that they couldn't make it to their event. So he actually came online and and he helped out as a commentator. So those are the kind of things. If you have students that want to do that kind of thing, they can sign up as commentators, or if they want, just go ahead and have them email me, and we can get them connected up with the appropriate people, so they can come in and actually help us out online. And the same thing with the video production side of it. And that link on the bottom is basically, if you can go there if you want and do, if you go to the menu, pick on the top, it has volunteer roles on it that are specific to this season. And specifically, I just looking at FTC event volunteers, and I didn't want to, we have this similar problem with FRC ones, but at the moment we're focused on FTC because the events are going on. I just talked a little bit about that there. I'd like to do that, kind of the shout out to those rookie teams. Those 2 rookie teams actually came in and helped us with queuing and crowd control, and it was adults and students that actually came in to do it. And it worked out fantastic. So, that's the kind of stuff that we'd like to see, and and I think it helps that when you're, if you're a student or a mentor on a team, you kind of know the flow of things. So it's a great way to get in and see the event yourself also. Anyway, that's the kind of thing we're looking for all our venues going forward. The other one is the judging occurs remotely, and again, like we said, the opposite day on the weekend. So we're looking for judges that can either do a half-day session or a full day. And if you look at the chart at the bottom, there's like our cohort in the morning. The judges are there from 8 till noontime, and in the afternoon they're there from 1 till 5. And so if somebody has a burning desire to do the whole day, they can sign up for the whole day and do both cohorts. But if we're running into a lot where people are kind of burned out on the online thing, not so bad doing 4 hours in here. So that's kind of the thing we're saying is we don't mind if you do it one way or the other. I just really kind of wanted to point out is if you look at this, the number with 14 events and all those things, we have 240 half-day judges that we actually require in order to get these events done. Now those can be some of the same people and so on, but it's a fairly high number. So what we'd like to do, and because it's virtual, it works out pretty well, is if if there's mentors on the team that want to help us with judging, they can judge. You just can't judge the events that your team is competing at, team or teams. But you can be located in Maryland and judging in Virginia or vice versa. So there's not really any issue about where you physically are. And again, if you want to do a half a day, that's fine. If you want to do a whole day, that's great also. So again, if you're interested in judging or learning more about judging, I can email me and we can actually connect you with some of the JAs, and you can talk about how you can help them out getting through these things. But I mean, the whole point in here is with all these events and so many of these events, and they're in venues that we don't necessarily normally be in. We have some in schools, but some of the schools don't have teams. They're just letting us use the space. So we need teams to kind of step up and help us on the judging side and queuing side and that kind of thing. So again, if you are interested in any of these things, feel free to email me or call me or that. And FRC, the big difference in FRC is, and I just wanted to kind of put it in here, was with FRC, it's a 2-day event. So, if you're in, let's say, the DC event number 1, if you're in day 1 and day 2, the judges are actually judging day 1 and day 2 as if they were one event for the cultural awards. So in those cases, if you compete on Saturday, they'll judge you on Sunday, or vice versa. And but the judges have to be around both those days in order to be able to give them out. And that's normal for a FRC event. Normally ran that way, but the point is this is a remote setup for doing this as well. Okay, and six events we have out there, so we're going to need roughly another 120 judges just for So that's basically all I had, other than I don't know if we have any questions out there or not that anybody's asked on top of that. Oh, I see one here. Yeah. So basically, do we go by what's posted on Monday, or do we check closer to the event? Basically, if we have to change it, go by what's there on Monday. If we have to change it, I will send an email out to everybody so you'll know enough to go look again. We're trying to eliminate people getting a million emails if at all possible. So we have everything on the website. But in that case, some things like that we don't want you to miss. By all means, I mean, we'll have some disappointed kids if you have to go from 13 kids to 7 and so on. Any other questions? Yeah. So with only 3 going forward for FTC, yes, it's Inspire 1, the winning alliance captain, and Inspire 2. In a lot of cases, I will say that at least some of those we get them where either Inspire 1 or Inspire 2 ends up being the winning alliance captain, because it tends to be Inspire winners tend to be some of the better teams. So in those cases, it would drop down another one. The other thing I'm sure we're going to run into with that is, if you're going to Worlds, you're going to have to tell us right away whether you're going to go to Worlds. And if some teams may opt out of going to Texas for that, for many reasons. But I do know if you're driving, it's a 20+ hour drive to get down there. So some teams may decide that they don't want it, and so it'll move down in the advancement list as teams decide not to take it. Okay. How many FRC champ slots will be used for the chairman's engineering inspiration with the All-Star? So for chairmans, we'll have two. Will be 2 chairmans, 2 engineering inspirations, and 1 rookie All-Star. It's in there. And the other one I will say is, there's 3. There'll be 3 Dean's List folks also. And I do know that they're talking about when you would go and get interviewed for chairmans, let's say at Worlds, for teams that qualify to be that chairmans, if they don't end up going to the venue, they're still going to consider them for the chairman's interviews at Worlds. And hopefully that won't take up our slots, but you just never know. Okay, how do we sign up for being judges in FTC? So if you go to your dashboard and you go into volunteer, you can actually search for events in there, and it will allow you to actually sign up in the volunteer management system. It has a feature in there, and that's what some of our events get messed up with, if they're in Virginia or Maryland, and so there's one of the search features in there. The easiest way to search is actually do the one where you say a certain distance from where you live or whatever, and they'll all show up. That way you can see Virginia and Maryland all together. The other one is, if you have any problems, just go to the events.firstchesapeake.org, figure out what events you want to do, and let me know, and we'll make sure that we get somebody to help you get signed up in the system, because we definitely love to have you help us judge. Any other questions? I mean, the other thing I would say is that, the advancement on we just talked through how FTC with teams not wanting to take the slots and so on. Same exact issue would occur for FRC. we have 16 slots, but it's strictly based on your rank, other than if you're, in those award categories. All the rest of it going down. And that also would hold true that, let's say we had Rookie All-Star and Rookie All-Star decided not to take the advancement, then it would just go back to the regular numbers, and we'd pull somebody from the next one that was available to go. Anything else out there? Yeah, I guess I'm looking at a few things that, as the advancement thing, I know is going to be a question. It's going to be hard for us to manage, and even worse for some of the other districts actually have their district championship the weekend before, so they have like 3 days to get to the event, and so I think there'll be more teams that are going to probably decline just because of that. But at least we have an order to it. It'll follow the normal order that as teams decline. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we can wrap it up for tonight. And like always, if you have any questions for Leanne or I, feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call. So I want to close this out, and we'll close this out and thank Accenture Federal Systems for sponsoring this town hall, and stick around for a short video from them.
I like to liken it to the Avengers and how everyone is really good at their one thing.
My personal definition of consulting at AFS is coming in, working with the client to truly understand their problem.
It's more than just solving problems that I thought it was before. It's more about creating value for your client.
We anticipate our clients' needs before they know what their problem is.
Helping the client achieve a goal. And all of us are working together to achieve that unified goal.
And they all come together with that diversity of skills and perspectives to help solve the client need or the client problem.
I love the people. I love working in so many different teams. It's so diverse.
It's very inclusive. It very much pushes each individual to do their best.
Accenture encourages us to bring our true selves to work, because when we're all different, that's how we get such amazing creativity and innovative ideas.
At this company, you will feel like a part of the family. 100%. People actually care, and it goes further than just the people on your team.
And everyone within Accenture leadership is very approachable, which I think is a really, really great foundational aspect of the culture at Accenture.
I make a difference to my client by really owning my project. The most meaningful part of my job is being able to see the code I write be produced into production and have a real-world impact.
Being able to deliver work that has a direct positive impact on our federal services or government or our people.
Personally, I have helped to raise the number of applications to my agency and the amount of jobs we're actually putting out per year, which is awesome. I'm so happy about that.
We make a difference for our client by always making sure that they're on a new path and that they're working with the newest technologies. We actually have an innovation day where we pitch to them the newest technology that we found that can help them.
I noticed it when I wanted to hang out with my coworkers outside of work.
For me is when I joined the African American Employee Resource Group. It felt great to join a community that was a little smaller than just AFS as a whole.
For me, I was so fortunate that it was my very first day in the office. I saw someone I had met at a conference who really piqued my interest in Accenture. I met my summer buddy who just so happened to work in my office as well. And I realized I was basically surrounded with family.
When we were at a meeting that was account-wide and We were recognizing individuals for their accomplishments. It was just great to see AFS really value their people.
I made a big mistake, and I was like, this is probably the first mistake I've ever made in my career, like really big. And I was like, oh no, like, this is gonna be awful. Like, I'm gonna get fired. Like, people are gonna hate me. And then I remember my manager coming up to me and just saying, hey DJ, like, I know you're probably bugging out a little bit about the mistake, but it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. Like, we always fix everything. And at that moment, I was like, wow, like this, like I said, this is more than just a job. People actually care about their people here. And at that moment, I definitely was like, hey, like this is home for sure.